Hi, this is Susan Clark with Carmel Realty Company. Welcome to episode 22 of Meet Our Local Business Owners and Experts. Today I'll be chatting with Steve Saunders, owner of Steve Saunders Master Jeweler in Monterey. Steve, welcome. I'm so happy to be here talking with you today. I'm anxious to learn all about your jewelry business.
Thank you.
And you've got a beautiful shop here, so I'm anxious to hear. I particularly was noticing all this beautiful turquoise and silver back here, so would love to hear about that as well. But first, tell me, how did you get into the jewelry business to begin with?
Initially, my first hands-on effort at creation was in the 6th grade. And I made a little silver ring shaped like a belt with a buckle on it. Let's skip from there and go to after I quit working in the insurance industry and had a year of time on my hands. I decided that as a teenager, I always wanted a leather belt with studs on it. So to make a long story short, I started making studded leather clothing. I was the first person in New York City to do that as a fashion statement. And I wound up having my own shop called Heavy Leather Steves. And in that process, a fellow came in wearing a silver and turquoise conch belt. And when I saw that, I knew it was a match for my leather apparel. And a week later, I was on my way to New Mexico to buy Native American silver and turquoise. And at that point, I got to Albuquerque, and I was able to find a shop that had what I was looking for, but indicated that I didn't have enough. I wasn't big enough for them to bother doing business with, and they rebuffed me. There was a fellow standing by who said he would accommodate my needs, took me to his place of business, and I bought some pieces. But I was so excited that I didn't pay very close attention. And when I got back to my motel room, I had a negative vibe that something was wrong. I picked up the silver belt and I looked at it and I said, no, it's really made out of silver. The only thing is it might not be handmade. And I studied this silver placket, and it had an indentation in one of the stamps, and every piece had the same exact indentation. I couldn't bring it back. I paid cash, so I decided I made that ring. I'm going to teach myself how to make this.
Okay.
And I proceeded from there. I came back home. I tried to find a class in silversmithing. Initially, there wasn't one. So when you go to school, you buy a book. I bought a book. I read about making some pieces. I purchased some tools, and I went through the process and began actually working in silver out of a book. I found a class at the YWCA that was teaching silver. I got in the class. For my first piece, he wanted us to make a silver bracelet and keep it simple. I went home and I tried simple and it didn't work for me, and I kept embellishing it, and I created a beautiful bracelet. When I took it in to show it to the instructor, his response is, "You don't follow instructions."
Well, you're obviously a self-made man.
What's interesting, I sold my first piece of silver to Chesborough Rainier, the sister of Prince Rainier of Monaco.
Oh my
She
God.
came into my leather shop that was on 65th between Park and Lexington Avenue.
Wow. Now that's the story.
That was the first piece. My second piece was I needed to see some authentic silver. I lived across the street from the Museum of Natural History, where I went and saw this beautiful necklace out of mercury dimes. The whole thing was made out of old mercury dimes, and I have a mercury dime collection at home. I went home, I broke up my collection, and I made that necklace. I must say it was phenomenal. I brought it in to show it to my silver instructor, and he looked at the piece, he almost fell down. He couldn't, he said, "Oh my God, this is fantastic. Where did you get it?" And I looked at him and I smugly said, I got it out of my imagination, and I got it with my 2 hands, and this is my last class.
I guess you showed him, huh?
Well, yeah. And I went off from there and proceeded to expand by putting one foot in front of the other.
Okay. Now, your shop is called Steve Saunders Master Jeweler.
Yes.
And can you tell me a little bit about what is a master jeweler?
A master jeweler is the same as any master of his profession, a person who is expert at what he does.
Okay, then that's a perfect name.
For what I do, yes, I agree. Thank you.
Okay, great. Now, it seems like you've been involved in a lot of different types of jewelry. You've already mentioned the silver and turquoise.
Correct.
And what other types of
I do contemporary
materials do
work.
you
I
use?
also do bronze sculpture. You can see the piece behind you over your shoulder, the cypress tree, that is actually a puzzle. It comes apart in 5 sections. All of these are examples of my being able to see something, imagine it in a different, or what I perceive to be a better way, and then bring that into being.
Okay.
And my success is dictated by the pieces that I've created and the reviews that I have received from people that have acquired my things.
Yes. Now, do you sell mainly to a local clientele, or do you have clients all over the country?
I have a picture of a pair of studded leather pants that I sold to Jill St. John. When I was in my shop in Carmel, I sold a piece of jewelry to Natalie Wood, who came in with Robert Wagner. The Chambers Brothers, the rock and roll group,
Yes.
on one of their albums, they were wearing leather gauntlets that are covered with brass studs. I made those.
Wow.
I'm all over the place.
Steve, what's the benefit of someone coming to your shop if they want a piece of custom jewelry? How does all that work?
Well, I'm gifted. I have an ability to read people and understand what they like. Sometimes I simply looking at what they wear or the jewelry that they're wearing, or if they have an idea or a picture to represent of a style that they like. And as I experience the energy of what they're showing me, automatically my imagination goes to work and starts framing pictures on my internal screen that I relate to them. And as we communicate back and forth, I can come up with an idea that they would find appealing. And I was the jewelry doctor at Keepsake Diamond Center for about 10 years, which is where I got the title Master Jeweler.
Okay.
And that came to an end, and I found this place available and decided to go for my own establishment. And I've been here for 24 years.
Is most of your business from local people walking
Local
in?
people, whoever wanders by, people that hear about me through the internet. I have a presence on Facebook. I have a website. It's hard to say where it comes from. I find that the greatest motivation for people to come to my shop is when I'm busy being in a state of being creative. There's something about that energy that permeates the air that draws other consciously aware people to me.
Yeah, that's great. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our listeners before we finish up here?
I could go on for a while. It's difficult to express that I attempt to create things that make people feel good when they experience them, because too often in this day and age, we need a reason to feel good. And I try to give back a little bit of beauty in the face of other things that I experience.
Well, I think jewelry always makes one feel good.
Thank you.
Steve, thank you so much for meeting with me today and telling us all about your jewelry business. And we will list your websites and your social media on the video, so everybody will be able to check that out and contact you. And to my listeners, if you need someone who would like to, if you'd like to make a piece of custom jewelry or choose from one of these beautiful designs in the shop, come by and see Steve. And if you have need of any real estate services, I'd love to chat with you and love to hear all about your goals and your dreams and your desires. Bye for now.